So it's time for another episode of Music Musings with Ray. Today we're going to chat for a minute about a song that was it was helpful, it was healing, it was uplifting. Yeah, I think I could come up with a whole bunch of adjectives for this song. It is by Marvin Sapp, Reverend Marvin Sapp, and it is titled The Best in Me. And so this song, I believe, came out in 2010, which was about 5 years after my daughter had passed away. And I was still going through the grieving process, to be honest with you. I don't know exactly where I was in the grieving process, but I was a mess in 2010. For for that reason, but like for so many other reasons as well. And this song actually, I think I received more than anything like hope and simply like encouragement and almost like acceptance as well. And I'll go into that a little bit in a second. But like the, excuse me, the first four lines of this song were enough for me. He saw the best in me when everyone else around could only see the worst in me. I wish I had a witness tonight. um, that's my story. That's my story, and I'm not sticking to it because I've healed from that on so many levels. But when, let's see, where does it say in the song? Anyway, let me just continue. So when I say that was my story, we'll just say this because I'm sure at some point I will go into this, but we'll just say this. I have never felt like pure love from family members. I definitely felt love and seen and heard from my father, God rest his soul. Um, but outside of that, no. And so it's like, being like a stranger or maybe even someone that is like not really wanted, but like you got to deal with them kind of thing. And so when you come from that, that kind of sort of sets the tone for how things are going to be in the future, to be honest. Because if you don't feel like an overarching love, protection, um, just covering from like your immediate, like from your immediate family, from from your parents or whatever the case may be, like what else do you have? Right? Because that means that you would just have to kind of sort of figure it out on your own. And I know that for some people, this is probably not anything that you could actually relate to because you don't have these issues or you have family and you have love within the family and you feel accepted and and things of that nature. So this is just kind of sort of over your head. But this is a reality in a lot of people's lives. It's a reality that you're unwanted, you're mistreated, you are abused, you are um, literally, I'm going to say this word again, you're unwanted and you're kind of just dealt with. That doesn't make anybody feel good. Nobody. And so, early on, because I think I've told this story before in one of my podcast episodes that I started going to Hillside International Truth Center in Atlanta probably around like 2004, 2003, 2004. And although I was going to church every Sunday. You know, my bishop, Dr. Barbara Lewis King, was teaching every Sunday because she was a teaching pastor. Just because you go to church doesn't erase all the things that you go through or that you've been through or that you're moving through. I just want to say that because for some reason people think, oh, read the Bible or God says this or, do you have a good church home and all these other things. There's layers and there's so much and it can't be solved by you reading a couple of scriptures and attending church every Sunday. I mean, sometimes people have deeply rooted things that they are going through, that they're moving through, that they have been through, trauma that they've been through that hasn't been dealt with, things of that nature. Like there's so much stuff. And so with this song, the song came on the other day while I was driving, and I was like, that's the next song that I'm going to use because I felt so good singing that song. I mean, like I was screaming in the car and everything. But I was also thinking back to like how just sad I was, or how lonely I was, or how hurt I was, or how confused I was. Like, what did I do? And all of these questions and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, but this song makes you feel like as long as God accepts you, as long as God sees you, like he sees the best in you, the very, very best in you. No matter what your mama says, no matter what your aunties and uncles say. Isn't that what he said in there? Like, yeah. So for me, this song was very healing. And there was a time that I played this song over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I would just cry and cry and cry and cry and cry. That's the gist of it. If I think back to 2010, yeah. And so I really I really want to share this story, but I also want to implore anyone who feels this way to stop it. Like, let's start working on it. Let's start doing the work. Let's start healing because I know more than anything that going through life feeling that way is the absolute worst. And it's kind of sort of like um constantly like regurgitated when you're around these people, and so you can't shake them. I mean, you probably can if you want to, like you can disappear and not come around. But I mean, you can't really shake them if you're going to go to weddings or you're going to go to funerals or, Christmas or, Thanksgiving or whatever the case may be. Like and you're literally doing this on your own because anyone that is not always, right? But for the most part, it's just you. For the most part, most people don't. I mean, you can find some people that can relate to you, but at the end of the day, I don't want to trauma bond with someone. I just want to be understood. And it was very hard to be understood when most people, or at least the people that I came in contact with, did not have this issue. It's almost like an unbelievable thing, right? What your family does this or your family did that or it's just, yeah, sometimes it's just unheard of, so you don't really have anything in common with people for the most part unless you find someone that can empathize and sympathize with you and that can allow you to express yourself or cry or whatever that looks like. um and so yeah, I'm sorry, I digress a little bit, but I just really wanted to share this song. First of all, I'll link the video in the description. Share this video, but also to encourage you to, one, use music in your healing. Use music in your transformation. Use music to get closer to God. Use music to understand him. It doesn't always have to be, I mean, please forgive me for saying this, but it is so true. Sometimes reading scripture, quoting scripture, understanding the Bible, all of these things or whatever are not everyone's jam. There has to be something else that will bring you closer. Like if you are in the realm where you are seeking and you're looking to feel better, heal, overcome, and things of that nature, it might just be that praise and worship might be your jam. And that praise and worship can take you from one step to the next step, to the next step, and the next step. And I mean, of course, you can use other things like meditation, obviously prayer and stuff like that. But I'm just really just honing in on music, period. Whether it's secular or whether it's, praise and worship music, like there's healing in music, period. There's healing in music, period. But when you are feeling bad and feeling alone and like this is just your issue or your problem, you can always find a song or a singer or an album, CD, whatever you want to call it, that can speak to you. And even if it's just one song, even if it's just one song, for me, this was a song for me for years, because if anyone knows or if anyone has been through trauma, it takes you a while. First of all, my pastor told us a long time ago that, and I'm just paraphrasing, I'm just making it short. I'll probably tell this story another time. But she basically said that, like if you have any issues with family and things of that nature, it is really up to you to not necessarily to heal that relationship, but it is up to you to change. Because 9 times out of 10, that person or those people are never going to change. They're never going to change. And so, like, if you're looking for like acceptance from someone who probably is never going to give you acceptance, or if you're looking for love from somebody that's probably never going to give you the love that you feel like you deserve, because, people have different definitions of that word love. You got to be careful with that. But yeah, if you do, I mean, it's a possibility. It's not like an impossibility, but more often than not, it's going to take you to do whatever it is that you have to do. Forgiveness is one. Working through what it is that you've been programmed. Like, for example, I was programmed to not feel good about myself from a very young age, to not feel good about myself. And that has followed me throughout my entire life. To feel like I couldn't do certain things that I was very capable of doing. To feel like I wasn't smart when I'm super brilliant. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things that people can instill in you that it's a ripple effect. It follows you. And it follows a lot of things that you do. It follows a lot of decisions that you make until you fix those. And so I know I didn't talk a lot about the lyrics of the song and things of that nature, but I really, really want anyone who can relate to my story or anything like this, where you don't feel good about yourself, because it doesn't necessarily have to be like about my story or anyone that has anything in common with me. It could just be that you have low self-esteem. Examine it, figure out where it came from, heal it, fix it. And I'm just saying, in my personal opinion, that you can do that through music. You can have songs that really, really speak to you. When I heard that song come on the radio yesterday, I did not shed one tear. I was so happy. I was so grateful. I was so very, very grateful that God has moved me from where I used to be to where I am today. And that's all I'm really saying. That's all I'm really saying, is that music is just the very best. And for you to use it to your advantage and of course your enjoyment. So I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to link the lyrics to the song as well as the video to the song in the description. And thank you for joining me for another episode of Musings with Ray. Have a great one.